So what I'm going to be talking today is about SUSE Rancher's Harvester product. So Harvester is a project that uh, Rancher was working on when SUSE acquired Rancher back in 2021. So they were actually already building that out. And so we've gone ahead and brought that to market. So I'm going to just talk to you a little bit about what that is. And if you're not familiar with Rancher itself, I would urge you to reach out. We can walk you through what Rancher looks like, and I'll have some other links later on so you can learn about more about what the whole Rancher product looks like, and be happy to do that as well. So, without any further ado, let's see if we can make this go here. There we go. That's me. I'm Dwayne Sims. I've actually been with the company just a little under 7 years now. But I've been working in the open source and in I'll say Linux Unix space really since I graduated from college a long time ago. I started off on a PDP-11 running AT&T Unix back in when I was in graduate school. So it was a long time ago that I started with this stuff. So glad to have made it a career. I never thought that would be my career. That's for darn sure. But it's interesting. Anyway, so just our quick agenda here today. We're going to take a look at Harvester and what it is. We'll look at how we position it a little bit, and how we're really bringing this product to market. And one thing I really want to emphasize is we understand Harvester is not going to be the solution for everything. When we want to make sure that it gets into places where it fits nicely. So we'll kind of cover that a little bit, and then we'll look at a couple of customer use cases of customers who are already deploying Harvester, names that you will recognize. So what is Harvester? So as you may know, Rancher and SUSE, what we've been doing is we've really been promoting this whole idea of Kubernetes and the idea of actually containerizing your workloads to make them better running, better to maintain, faster turnover of going from version to version, deployments numbered in sometimes multiple deployments per day rather than once or twice a year, which is where we've been stuck at in so many cases. That whole idea is that you can use Kubernetes and containers to make this happen. Well, we've also gotten the idea that there's a lot of folks out there that want to get there, but they can't get there immediately. And they've got applications that they cannot get moved to containers quickly. It's not going to be easy. In a lot of cases, they've lost the source code or they never had it to begin with. And they've got to get these applications moved into a more modern kind of infrastructure. So the idea is with Harvester is that you can have a Kubernetes cluster that also can run virtual machines at the same time. So you can run containers and virtual machines side by side. So basically, that's what Harvester's done. We've actually taken complete open source technologies, combined them together to build out a hyper-converged infrastructure system based on really three main things. So we're using Rancher as our UI. We're using a version of our slash open source our slash enterprise Linux server that we call SLE Micro. That is a version that is really cut down just to run containers. That's its primary goal in life, is to be able to run containers and run them really well, very lightweight. And then we've also taken the Longhorn project, which actually provides storage for this. So you can actually build out a hyper-converged system that will let you run containers or virtual machines, wherever you need, whatever you need to do in that situation. That's what Harvester is all about. It's all built on top of open source. You can go out and grab it this afternoon and start playing with it. In fact, I'd urge you to do that. It's very accessible, so no problem there at all. Built on top of open standards. We're not trying to lock anybody in. This is all you basically use off-the-shelf hardware to build this out, and use regular storage devices. We would recommend that you're probably going to use SSDs. Your mileage will be better if you do that. but it's all no proprietary hardware, no proprietary software involved whatsoever. And we're using Kubernetes APIs to run the whole thing. And then we're actually pulling projects out of the CFNC standards to actually build this out. One of them is KubeVirt, and Longhorn is the other one, which I already mentioned. So we're actually using some of these projects that are coming out of CFNC. So this is basically, we have the Rancher Manager as the UI for this project. So basically, the same UI that you may be already familiar with today to actually manage your Kubernetes clusters, you're using that same UI to manage Harvester at the same time. Harvester clusters are just dealt with in a slightly different way. And if I have time, I'm going to actually pull up the screen and show you what that looks like. So the architecture of the product is basically, we're using KubeVirt and Longhorn on top of SLE Micro. That green box there in the center would actually represent SLE Micro. And then on top of it, you can run virtual machines or containers. It's up to you, whatever you need. You can run it in that way. The gray boxes are actually representative of the actual hardware you're running on, and then you can have as many networks as you need to actually be able to operate this with. We're typically saying your management network probably needs, in a production situation, probably needs to be a 10 gig network, because you're actually sharing storage across that same network. So that's another thing to look at as you're building this out. But if you want to try it out on just 1 gig Ethernets, you'll be fine. You'll just have to, you'll notice a little bit of a lag for your storage, but you'd be able to get a really good feel for how it works. So let's get into Harvester positioning a little bit, because I mentioned before, we know this is not the solution for everything. I don't see this dropping in to take over VMware in a huge big way. They've had 20 years to actually build out all the features that is in VMware today. We know that Harvester doesn't have all those features, but you might be really surprised that the subset of features we do have might actually solve a lot of your problems that you're trying to solve, and maybe not have to pay that big tax to who. So if that's a positioning that we would want to do with this product. So again, this is a turnkey solution that includes your storage, virtualization, and network management all in one tool with single pane of glass to manage it off of. We're really implementing this with Rancher, and you can manage your VMs and your containers at the same place. And that's the fun part of this. And it's really a user-friendly platform to let you run your Kubernetes clusters. You can run RKE2 clusters, K3S clusters, even RKE clusters. If you want to go back and pull up the older technology, you can do that too. You can also import any cluster, say from our friends at AWS or our friends at Azure. You could pull those clusters in as well and manage them with a single pane of glass. That's the whole idea behind Rancher itself. So when is Harvester at its best? Really, when you're running virtual machines and containers at the same time on a hyper-converged infrastructure, that's really where Harvester shines at. Is when you're running these things side by side. That's kind of the key. The other areas when you're actually wanting to build out Kubernetes clusters on top of virtual machines. Maybe you have a limited amount of hardware, but I want to be able to run, say, 5, 6, 8 clusters because I have needs in those areas. I need to be able to hand these out to different engineering teams. And you'll see that with one of our customers. They really glommed onto this architecture. That was the area they wanted to be able to run in. So they wanted to be able to build out Kubernetes clusters on top of virtual machines in a very cost-effective way. The other one is when I'm actually in the process of moving my application infrastructure to a more modern way. I want to actually use this cloud-native infrastructure to move towards, and I have to move. I've got a certain number of my applications I've converted to containers today, but I've got a couple that are just hard. A lot of times they're Windows applications. We see that a lot. Folks that have got older applications that are really hard to migrate because of they're built on older technologies. Sometimes those are really hard to migrate to containers, and we understand that. And what we're doing is giving you a way out so that you can actually move the bulk of what you're doing to containers. But if I've got those one or two sticky little apps that I can't move, I've got a place to put them at. And that's the real beauty of Harvester, to let you be able to run both of those on the same set of hardware. So let's get into some of the customer examples. Our first one is BMW. BMW is a car company everybody is familiar with. They're one of our biggest customers in this area. They were our first customer. They've really helped design what this product looks like today. So we've done a lot of partnering with those folks and being able to work that out. They see this as a long-term strategy that they're working on, and they've been pushing it out to a number of different plants around the world. Our next customer was the folks at ARM, and ARM had a really different kind of a process that they wanted to go through. The folks at ARM were actually running, they had engineering teams that needed to have their own clusters to run on. And so they really fit that second model that I showed you before, where they wanted to be able to have a set of hardware that they could run, and then run lots of different Kubernetes clusters on top of that, utilizing virtual machines to make that happen. And so that is actually what they did. They started off with 450 engineers, and they've now moved that out to 2,500 engineers. So they've got a lot of experience in doing this, and it's been a big success. So my last and bonus slide here for you folks, if you want to learn more, we have free training available. If you want to just learn more about Kubernetes and containers and how all this stuff works, because I know a lot of this is, if you've been around in the business for a while, as I have, a lot of this stuff is hard to grasp at first, and we're happy to help train you in what makes that happen. We have two different ways to do that. One is Rancher Academy. So if you go to www.rancher.academy, you can go out and basically it's free training on how Rancher works, how Kubernetes works, how Kubernetes distributions get installed, and how they operate, and all the wonderful things you can do with them. I urge you to go out to Rancher Academy and take a look at some of the classes we have out there. Also, the Rancher Rodeos, we've run them about every 2 weeks. We have and these are basically, I like to think of the Rancher Rodeos as you'd like to see a demo of a product. In this case, you get to do your own demo. Basically, you get online and we provide you an environment, and you get to do your own demo. You get to see how it works, and you drive. And that's I think it's a lot of fun. Most folks they learn a lot from the process, and they get a lot out of it. So I'd urge you to take a look at Rancher Rodeos as well. So that's pretty much my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. I won't guarantee you I can answer all of them, but I will get you answers. I'm not that smart, but I know lots of smart people, so I'll help you any way I can. And thank you very much. Appreciate your time, Ron. I'll let you take it back over.